AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
And what's going on, Los Angeles, Bruin Nation, LAFB fam? How we doing? Your dynamic duo, the Thriller and Madman, back together again for all of your UCLA sports needs. And what a fun episode we have right now. A little bit about football we're going to talk about with Mr. Chesney. Of course, we've had such an epic week of coverage about Bob Chesney and, some great news about JMU. And then today's all about basketball, Thriller, as we're diving into this week. First two games in Big Ten play. Some interesting results. We're going to dive all into it. But first and foremost, brother, always such a delight to see you. How was your weekend? How was your last few days?
It's been fantastic, man. And I think it was the tip of the iceberg. The best thing that happened to me this weekend was knowing that our football coach is a football coach that just led his previous team to the college football playoff. JMU officially in as the 12th seed, and Bob Chesney coming to Westwood as advertised. So very pumped. We got a couple dubs this week to start Big Ten play, like you were mentioning. I'm just excited to dive all into it, man. It's going to be a fun one. Man, hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to go to the moon this season for our UCLA basketball Bruins.
Absolutely, Thriller. As we tell our community here, just Thriller and I want the best Bruin coverage across all sports, and we're just so passionate about this school and this university and this place. So it means the world to us if you hit that like and subscribe button and tell your friends about the UCLA LAFB channel for all of your UCLA sports needs. Well, Thriller, we'll start a little bit on the gridiron. We'll sort of tee it up there. Man, JMU in the playoff, 12 seed last night. Duke's ability to beat Virginia in overtime propelled JMU to the college football playoff. I can't believe it. And I must say, Thriller, I think there's a school of thought that is saying, in a very logical, pragmatic way, hey, we were hoping JMU didn't make the playoffs, so Bob Chesney would come and be the UCLA coach kind of full-time right away. We got all these recruiting needs, transfer portal needs, and whatnot. And I get that. I understand the logic there completely. We want to sort of jumpstart this program in a significant way. But I have to be honest with you, Thriller, I was rooting for JMU in the playoff. I just think 100%. For Bob Chesney, for what he's built, and I just love the integrity that UCLA has shown to allow him to coach his team all the way through in the playoff. I just couldn't help but root for Duke to beat Virginia to allow JMU into the playoff. I know logically and strategically in terms of the near term, that's probably not the best thing for UCLA from a 2026 standpoint, but I don't care because I just think that, his ability to close it out the right way with that program and that particular team. And James Madison fans have been so phenomenal. I know they've jumped in on the comments and have looked at our content over the last week. Yeah. So classy, so eloquent, so knowledgeable, so full of insights that, we're huge James Madison fans of the program, obviously of Bob Chesney and just, their fans. And so I was rooting for Duke to pull this thing off. I couldn't believe it. Duke really kind of took control of that game, Thriller, against Virginia, up 20-10, up 20-13, and then holy cow, Duke, my God, there were some big mistakes there. false start, running back, running out of bounds, not allowing Virginia to burn any of those timeouts. And then Virginia, really a run-heavy team, methodical team. Kind of reminds you of those early 2010s kind of Stanford Harbaugh teams. They find a way to go 96 yards in 2 minutes to tie that game. And I'm thinking, oh boy, I don't know if Duke has the momentum at this point. And then Duke first and goal from the 1 in overtime. They get stuffed 3 times. They find a way to punch it in on a rollout that was extended. That play kind of looked dead in the water a little bit until it wasn't. Duke finds a way, and then Virginia starts their possession with a trick play, intercepted. Duke is your 5-loss ACC champion. Lets JMU into the dance, and Mr. Chesney gets to roll on with JMU for at least one more game and potentially be kind of the darling Cinderella. Man, what a first draw in Eugene, Oregon. But what a great introduction that'll be for Bob Chesney to face an Oregon team in the Big Ten that he's going to run into a ton with UCLA. So a great prep indeed, but just so happy for Chesney and that JMU program, Thriller.
Yeah, and it was great to watch them kind of go about their business, too, on Friday night against Troy. It was kind of a close game at halftime. James Madison was up 17-14, shut him out in the second half, put 14 unanswered points up. And the thing that I'm looking at is, the potential guys that could come with Bob Chesney out there. And I'm looking at Wayne Knight. I mean, that 73-yard touchdown run. He finished with over 200 yards on the ground. Just a beast of a back. I would love to see this guy, the blue and the gold. And maybe even most importantly, what did we struggle with the whole way through the last 2 seasons was the depth on the defensive line. Just a bunch of beasts. I mean, Sahir West is a true freshman. This guy might be above the NIL pay grade. I hope it's not, because he's going to get some suitors. 3 sacks, 5.5 tackles for a loss in a conference title game. Are you kidding me? The whole second, 8 sacks as a defensive line, 14 tackles for a loss across the board. Can we get some of these beasts on our defensive line moving forward for UCLA? I just was really encouraged with the coaching. I know he's a defensive-minded coach, so to see kind of pen hit paper there with what they were able to bring to the table, I thought that was super encouraging. Alonzo Barrett didn't really throw the football that great for James Madison, but he's a dual threat runner. If he wants to come in and try to compete with Nico, I would welcome it if Nico is coming back. So I think there's a lot of, moving pieces here that we could see. And, the cool thing is like, we want Chesney to be comfortable by the time he hits his next playoff spot.
Yeah.
That he's been there. It's a reps game, right? A lot of these teams, in sports, you got to learn how to win these games and learn how to, position yourself in the playoff field. Now that he's got one under his belt and he's coming to UCLA, he's coming to either the Rose Bowl or SoFi to do that. I think that just in his mind, he goes, I know what it takes to get there. Let's get these 2 next recruiting classes to the top and what we can bring to the table there. So I just think it's a home run, man. Even more of a home run than like the day we talked about it. It's just so encouraging and exciting. And Chesney, if he brings these players with him to Westwood, we'll have dudes in the building that have been there, done that when it comes to college football playoff.
No question about it, Thriller. And man, Sahir West, holy cow. If we can pull him in, Thriller, and indications are that, he wants to stay with Chesney moving forward. So UCLA's got the inside track, but they're going to have to put the NIL package together. This isn't going to be sort of necessarily a hometown discount. You might get a little bit because you to stay with Chesney, but you're going to have to sort of have a very, very competitive number there. So hopefully we can start putting a very competitive package. You can see kind of the bump in some of the NIL fundraising, some of the crowdsourcing campaigns, some of the matching campaigns that you're seeing over the last few days because of the excitement with Chesney. And I think the other thing, Thriller, what a great point that you made just now about getting the reps into the college football playoff, learning kind of what it takes, learning what some of these other programs are doing. And the fact that Chesney's kind of getting this first run with JMU, I think is so significant. It actually kind of reminds me, you got to go all the way back. But you remember Jimmy Johnson when he was at Miami at the U. Yeah. And one of the things that really set him up for success, remember, there were some great rivalries there. Miami, Oklahoma with the Boz in the 80s. Miami, Notre Dame. One of the things that really set him up for success is Jimmy Johnson was at Oklahoma State right before he came to the U, and he had to deal with Oklahoma, and he had to deal with Nebraska at the time. And oftentimes he was sort of on the shorter end of the stick there just because of the talent discrepancy. He understood what it took to beat those teams. He also had a chip on his shoulder to beat those teams. And then once he got to the U and started having the resources that were available to him, the sky was the limit. And so I'm rooting for JMU. I hope they upset Oregon. I just think, Chesney's such a great coach, and we love what he's going to bring to the table. This is the most exciting hire UCLA has had in the post-Chancellor Charles Young era of the last 25 years. No question about it. It's a sophisticated hire. It's an astute hire, and it's an exciting hire. But I think Chesney kind of seeing what Oregon will be like in Eugene in a playoff game, part of the Big Ten, that's going to give him an experience, folks, that I don't think you can quantify. And him understanding how that team prepares, what it takes to beat that team up close and personal, will give him very unique insights on how to build and do roster construction for UCLA to compete with the likes of the Oregons in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and that was the point I was going to bring up after you finished. It was like Oregon is the class of the Big Ten right now. They won the Big Ten title outright last year, came a loss short, in terms of making it, but they are the cream of the crop right now, up there with the Ohio State University, the Indianas, when it comes to the Big Ten. Getting out there early, knowing what it's like to play in those environments for UCLA in the future only helps you out. So I'm really excited about not only them making the playoffs, but the draw in particular as it relates to UCLA football moving forward.
No, really well said, Thriller. And so we talked JMU. We talked this Duke, Virginia impact to JMU. Thriller, the other game that we just sort of have to talk about that's non-UCLA related is Indiana beating Ohio State and stunning Ohio State. I mean, my God, the similarities to Ohio State, Michigan last year and Ohio State, Indiana in this championship game. A lot of very interesting similarities, right? Same final score, 13-10. Ohio State again misses a short field goal, late in that game to sort of potentially tie it. But that was a heavyweight fight. And I think there was a perception that if Indiana were to upset Ohio State, it would have had to have been a higher scoring game, because I think there was a question about Indiana in the trenches relative to that beast of a defensive line that is Ohio State, and just the number one defense in all of America in Ohio State. And for Indiana, Thriller, to beat Ohio State at their own game in terms of a slog it out heavyweight fight, both teams stopping the run, both teams combining for 10 sacks. I mean, to be able to win a 13-10 game, to me, signifies that Indiana is absolutely for real and has a very legit shot to win the national championship. And I think what's significant for UCLA fans, of course, is the Cignetti JMU impact, and now Chesney JMU here. I mean, think about it. Kurt Cignetti, a month from now, could very well be a national champion in year 2 at Indiana, when the last time Indiana won the Big Ten championship was 1967. You think about the history of Indiana football and what this guy has been able to do in 2 years. Literally, they're 3 wins away from being at the very top of the sport at the end of year 2, Thriller. And so in this new age of college football, NIL, transfer portal, 12-team college football playoff, anything can happen. Essentially, what any program has done pre-2021 doesn't actually matter. It's the most unique thing I've ever seen. All the scores, all the records are kind of reset now in this post-2021 era, because the sport is just so fundamentally different. It's almost like whatever you did back then kind of doesn't matter. Like, it's fun to have a big trophy room and sort of a museum of all your national championships and all your All-Americans and all your Heisman trophies and all of your great moments, but it's sort of more of a museum. It really doesn't have a lot of relevance to what you're doing moving forward, because the sport has changed so fundamentally. And if Indiana can go from who they were to potentially a national champion in 2 years with a guy that came from James Madison, why can't that be UCLA?
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
In 2 years, could UCLA be winning the Big Ten championship? Could UCLA be the number one seed in the college football playoff? Could UCLA potentially win a national championship? Thriller, I know it sounds grandiose, but we're seeing the blueprint here at Indiana.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. And I thought it was really cool. Greg McElroy on the bracketology today for college football kind of posed the question to Chesney, who was interviewed. He's so great with the media. It's so cool to see this guy about to be the face of our program moving forward, the way he carries himself compared to, some of the other coaches we've had that weren't as media, friendly, didn't really want to talk to the media. But the cool thing was he asked him directly, it's like, how do you feel about seeing what Curt Cignetti's doing at Indiana? And Chesney gave a really great response. He goes, one, it shows us what's possible. Like you could see what's possible when taking a smaller university, like Indiana, like in terms of the national landscape of things and turning them into a powerhouse. And I feel like UCLA has more resources than Indiana does, when it comes down to it, just like the recruiting landscape, the pipeline, kids wanting to come to LA, be in Beverly Hills. I mean, like, come on, we got all that right here. We've talked about it for years, the sleeping giant effect. So I thought that was really cool. And he's like, we got a ton of players in this locker room that, played for both Cignetti and us. So I know they were cheering for him as well. But I think the coolest thing is the fact that Chesney arguably did a better job with James Madison than Cignetti did. Because Chesney's got them in the college football playoff.
Yes.
So when you equate that, where he may have outcoached a guy that my only viral tweet I've ever had was saying Curt Cignetti is pound for pound the best coach in the country. And I doubled down on that. I had to take a victory lap after there's a lot of Ohio State fans in the comments back in October. Had to take the victory lap. Anytime I control any Ohio State fans, I'm going to do it. So I did it. But Chesney, having that kind of, grandiose vision of his to elevate past even a Cignetti-like performance, I mean, it shows you what's possible. He said it best. What is possible with this UCLA team moving forward if you guys can, rebuild this defensive line room, maybe elevate the way Nico is playing, maybe get a Wayne Knight coming in there. By the way, Wayne Knight, what a name. I mean, the Seinfeld and Space Jam. I mean, we talk about Space Jam all the time. We got to get Wayne Knight in a blue and gold jersey, man.
No question about it, Thriller, and so well said. Now, and everything you said is absolutely spot on. The one thing I'll say, in fairness to Cignetti at James Madison, right, Thriller, the college football playoff being a 12-team playoff has only been the 2 years, right? And so Chesney kind of got an opportunity there and the door open. But your point is so well taken because, again, we've said this a ton before, but he had to rebuild James Madison from scratch, right? Like
That's
it wasn't like he had all of Cignetti's players. All of Cignetti's players just about went with him to Indiana. And so, again, he had to rebuild this entire roster. And in year two, Cignetti in year two is potentially going to win the national championship. Chesney in year two and James Madison is in the college football playoff. I mean, it just goes to show you, if you have the right guy with the right vision and the right intellect and the right plan, this can happen very quickly, particularly in this day and age of college football. I mean, let's take a step back, Thriller, and think about this. You're talking about Texas Tech has a first-round bye. You're talking about
really made it.
Indiana is the number one seed in the college football playoff. You're talking about Ole Miss was a really strong contender. Obviously, this whole Kiffin saga, but Ole Miss, Texas Tech, Indiana, all of these teams are in the college football playoff. It's not a coincidence that you have kind of this fresh blood in the playoff. If you have the right support with your university and you can channel in the NIL, anyone can get competitive very, very quickly. And so it's a matter of emphasis. And I think we have to be really, really excited that UCLA is showing that emphasis because Chancellor Julio Frank created this committee to get the right guy. And now the question, Thriller, the big elephant in the room is finances, right? I mean, we've talked about this, and I'll hand it over to you. Look, we talked about this. Kiffin at LSU, they're talking like $30 million. There was a report that came out, Texas Tech's roster this year cost $28 million, right? I mean, like, to get to that level, you need $25 to $30 million a year in terms of roster construction salary. Yeah. But I don't know, are we going to get there that quickly? Are we going to get there at all with that number? But I will say with 10 to 12 million, 10 to 14 million, with the right picks, if you can do this in a Moneyball fashion with everything that UCLA provides in terms of the LA marketplace, and Chesney talked about it, the academics, the alumni, the ecosystem, we can win at the highest level, and we will win at the highest level is what he said. So there's just so much energy here. You just don't have that baggage now anymore of back then, Thriller. It just felt like you had to be a blue blood to get the best recruits, and it was this domino effect, right? The rich got richer, and the weak programs got weaker because it was just a self-fulfilling prophecy. And because of the pedigree, because of the limitations in the portal, now everything is opened up, and we're seeing these programs that historically were dormant or historically were mediocre, and bang, in the blink of an eye, in 12 months, in 24 months, in 36 months, they are at the top of the sport. Why not UCLA, a team and an athletic program with 125 national championships? Why not us, Thriller?
Yeah, no, it's a great point. And I can make an argument that it's harder to coach in today's environment than it's ever been, given the continuity, the chemistry that these teams can have. And that's why it makes it so much more important to have the right guy leading the charge. So, you look at some of these schools, like whether it's, a Colorado or a USC, and they've shelled out a ton of money in NIL to get some of these guys, and they just haven't reached that ceiling that a lot of us have expected for these programs, because I felt like the coaching wasn't exactly to where it needed to be in terms of building these guys out. This is from a firsthand experience. I remember going to Media Day 2 years ago and talking to Mason Cobb, who had just transferred into USC. And I was like, what made you want to come to SC? And I'll never forget, I don't mean to single him out, but this is kind of the NIL era as a whole. He goes, they flew me in on a private jet. It was great. And that was kind of the response. And immediately, like, a red flag came up in my mind. Like, I don't think you're here for the right reasons. And if you're not here for the right reasons, like, it's going to get ugly. And lo and behold, it was like the worst USC defense we had ever seen that year. And they wasted a returning year from a Heisman Trophy quarterback at that. So for me, it's just a lot of different kind of questions I have about it. But when it comes to what Chesney can bring, I at least know I've got the captain of the ship that could steer us in the right way out of the storm.
The captain of the ship that can steer us in the right direction, Thriller. I know we said we were going to talk about basketball. I think we're going to save that one for the next episode, Thriller, because this was such a great episode about football, about Chesney, about where this Bruin nation and this Bruin program is going. Folks, before we sign off, Sleeper app, we got to pay the bills around here at UCLA LAFB. Number one sports app in the market today. Live stats, live engagement feed, real-time everything, fully immersive. Tell them the guys from the LAFB network sent you. Use that promo code UCLA LAFB. Get $100 off your match bonus. You put in 100, you get another 100. 100 becomes 200, and you got all kinds of different lines, a lot of different spreads, over-unders, all kinds of things that you can do together. Download that number one sleeper app, the number one sports app in the market today, and tell them the guys from the LA Football Network sent you. Well, folks, another great one in the books. Thriller and I had a plan to talk about something else totally different, and we're going to get that in the very next episode. But when he and I get going, it's like symphony. It's music. It's the dynamism. We're still just bursting with enthusiasm over the great Bob Chesney coming to revive our beloved UCLA Bruins. Be loud, be proud, be passionate, Bruins. And like we always say, fours up forever, baby.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.